on taking offence, genuine or otherwise. And before I start, what I will say is that unlike most of the society that we've created for ourselves the last few years, this video is a taking offence free zone. So if you take offence, you can take that offence and shove it right up your arse. If you have a problem factually or in terms of your opinion with anything that I say, by all means leave a comment, by all means make a video reply, by all means do a shit in a cardboard box, tie a fancy little bow around it and mail it to me. Do any of those things, but please don't tell me that you take offence, because I couldn't give a crap. The whole subject of taking offence is really, really interesting, because there seems to have been a sea change over the past 10 years or so in terms of the way in which we are expected to engage with people, and the way in which we're expected to bring problems to one another. And this very much chimes in with this fake rage thing that was brought up quite recently. And I will comment on there where I think the Peach went wrong with her video there, was that she's quite right with regard to what she says about fake rage, which is the same thing as fake offence. But what she did wrong was to bring a specific example, because however much you suspect that in any specific case that somebody's rage is fake, it's very, very difficult to prove that that is the case. Okay, but most of us accept that this goes on. Most of us accept that people are from time to time full of shit. And let's be honest, the majority of people from time to time are full of shit. They either make things up or they spin things. They hyperbolize things to make them seem worse, to gain more mileage from the situation. And the vast majority of people do that, and I can't hold my hand up and say that I've never done that. So that kind of thing happens, and most people accept that that happens. But what I find really amusing is how many people accept that it happens, but when it comes down to their pet issue or the specific group that they're involved in, that they can't seem to accept that it happens with that group. And where I find that happens more than anything is when it comes to groups that are regarded as the most underprivileged, as if underprivileged groups obviously wouldn't do these kind of unscrupulous behaviours, which sounds as silly as saying, well, there's no way that poor people would ever steal. Only the richest people in society would ever consider stealing. Of course, we know that however rich you are, you can still be a total fucking crook, as we've seen with some of the scandals in the city of New York and city of London, etc., over the past 10 years or so. But we also know that you don't have to be rich to be a crook, and also that you don't have to be privileged before you'll use these underhand tactics. What I propose is that whatever rules we set in life, people are going to take advantage of those rules, and our expectation ought to be that people will try and take advantage of those rules. And it doesn't matter if those rules are used in good faith or created in good faith. And in this case, I think the rules have been created in good faith, and there is some merit to them. There's no point just having a discussion on the facts, because although the facts of a situation are very important, and some subjects, we should stick to the facts and the facts alone, rather than, and I mean facts, not the facts of our feelings, but the material facts, the objective facts aside from our subjective experience is what I mean there. But although in some cases that's a relevant thing to do, in many cases how we feel, whether we take offence, is very important and needs to be taken into account. And it very much has been taken into account. You know, I've been told, I have had talks on harassment and bullying at work, and we have been told, as most people will have done in most workplaces nowadays, is that if you have a problem with somebody, if somebody says something that you find objectionable, approach them or approach management about the issue, but don't get into an argument on the facts. Get into a discussion on the feelings. Tell them how you feel. And one of the reasons for doing this is because how you feel is important, but the other reason is, and this is where things go off the rails slightly, it's very easy for somebody to argue and to contend the facts with you. It's very, very difficult for somebody to dispute how you feel. If you say something is leaving you feel bad, that something makes you take offence, that something makes you feel unhappy in some way, what can anybody say? How can anybody argue with that? Short of coming across a callous and saying, well, you might feel like that, but hard shit, quite honestly, as I have done most marvellously at the start of this video, right? Short of that kind of callousness, there is nothing that they can say. So it's a marvellous way to argue. And I've seen people argue about this is a good tactic to employ in your personal relationships with a significant other or somebody else in your life. Don't argue the facts, because hell, facts are messy things. You can end up being wrong with the facts. Just argue about how they feel. That stops people in its tracks. And however worthy the basis of this, it's a marvellous word that I'm going to use now. It's a marvellous word, but it has weaponised the taking of offence. And it really has, because if I say something, if I'm desperately don't want to offend you, right, and I say something that offends you, the very best that I can do is really to just apologise and say, oh, terrible of me, I'll really try not to use that word again or try and act in that way again, okay? So we're in the middle, we're having a discussion about facts and about issues and about rights and wrongs in society, and then you take offence because I've used the wrong word, and I have to apologise for that and say that I'll try not to do that again. I'm so sorry for offending you, and although that might be the end of that specific issue, everybody knows, let's cut the fucking bullshit, everybody knows that I am now on the back foot, right? That I might not have actually ceded any ground on the facts, but I'm now on the defensive. I have apologised for something, even if it's not really related to the material facts of the issue. And this is kind of what weaponises this whole thing, which is that there is some basis to taking offence. And in any situation where the rules prioritise one thing over another, or make one kind of behaviour favourable even if it isn't genuine, you can bet your boots that people will take advantage of it, and how they will take advantage of it. Let me tell you a little analogy here. It's another example. It involves a football, association football, soccer as it's called in some parts of the world. If you're not familiar, strikers and forwards, they're the people that are expected to score goals. You can earn a shitload of money in those positions. Wayne Rooney earns as much in a week as I earn in 10 fucking years. That's how much money that you can earn doing that. But you're expected to perform. You're expected to score those goals and to make those goal scoring opportunities for other people. And so you have a situation where there's a lot of pressure on these people. Now, one of the things that fans object to are forwards going down too easily in the box. Now, that sounds like some kind of sexual behaviour. Okay. And what it means is they get into the penalty area, and then the slightest feather-light touch from a defender, and they go tumbling to the ground in the most histrionic of fashion, claiming that their leg has pretty much been irreparably smashed into 1,001 pieces and that they should get a penalty. And the reason they do that is because maybe they were knocked slightly off balance, maybe they weren't, but a scoring opportunity is usually a fairly low odds chance to score, whereas a penalty from a fixed position from the goal, you've got about a 90% chance of scoring a goal there. So it is a no-brainer. If what you want to do is succeed and score as many goals as you can, then claiming penalties is a lot better than trying to score goals in open play. Now, what I would say, and the reason I draw this analogy is that many people blame the players. Well, we need to re-educate the players, get the players to be more moral, to get the players so they won't do this unethical business of not so much diving, but at the slightest touch going to ground. But the thing is that, and this is the point, if one player was doing it, blame the player. If every player is doing it, then I think you have to look at the rules. And in this case, the rules reward players for this kind of behaviour. If you want to stop it happening, don't lecture the fucking players. Move the penalty spot another 50% further back from where it is. Make it such that if you're fouled but you stay on your feet, a bit like in netball or rugby, you can carry on, you can take your shot. If you score, you get the goal. If you don't score, then the penalty is called and you get the penalty in any case. Alter the rules and you will alter the behaviour. The behaviour of people with regard to taking offence is exactly the same. It is so common for people to claim that they either take offence where really they don't take offence, or to claim that the offence is worse than it actually is. That what we do know is that it's the rules that have legitimised this kind of behaviour. It is prioritising the taking of offence over material facts that has led to people doing this kind of thing. If we are happy with that situation, then we leave it as it is. But at least let's not be naive about it, and to always have people in good faith. Let's not always assume that when people claim offence in this kind of way, that it is genuine. Personally, I'd like to see a little bit more balance restored, and rather than offence being judged on the basis of, well, if anybody claims offence, it's a very personal thing, we should just assume you've claimed offence. We should have a reasonable person concept. Let's all in our mind have a reasonable person concept. In English law, the person is the average man on the Clapham omnibus. I suppose it would have to be the average person on the Clapham omnibus now. But the whole concept is that's not to discriminate against women or to discriminate against people that don't live in Clapham. It's to suggest that there exists this kind of average kind of person who will respond in a fairly reasonable and reasoned kind of a way to the situation. And if we imagine how that kind of person would respond if they were in a similar kind of situation, this is the reasonable person concept, then we can assess whether the offence that was taken was reasonable or otherwise. That's the kind of way that I would like to see things go. If you feel differently about that, let me know in the comments, make a video response. Perhaps you think, no, we should just take offence at face value. Or perhaps you think, no, Jim, you're wrong. It is actually only privileged people who abuse this idea of taking offence and claim offence where none is given. And underprivileged people, the offence that they claim 99% of the time is absolutely genuine and not overplayed in any way, shape or form. I did say at the beginning of the video, if you find anything I say offensive, then it's just kind of hard shit. If you haven't found anything that I've said offensive, then you can fuck off, you wankers.